athlete, a pro athlete who has spent more time looking younger than Tom Brady. More time on his body, hours in the gym, minutes on steaming his vegetables, nutrition, pliability, hydration, meditation, fascination with looking younger than Tom Brady. All those hours trying to Benjamin Button himself back the other way, only so that he could tweet this picture this week ahead of this team's game with the Saints this weekend. He and Tom Rees looking like their grandpas. I spent way too much time, energy, blood, sweat, tears, and money in TB12 only to look like this, Tom. Pick a side, lean in or lean out. You can't have it both ways. I will pull everything from TB12 and pour it into House of Athlete. You decide, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Pick one. You decide.
Do that.
Tom Brady. Old or young? Pick one.
All right, so
I love it.
Jenna just showed you a Photoshop picture. The picture I'm about to show you, hand to God, is not Photoshopped. And it is two people the exact same age. Show me the picture, please. Because Tom Brady broke a record. Oldest player to throw a pass in the playoffs. That's 43-year-old Tom Brady. And that's 50 years ago, 43-year-old George Blanda. Here's why I bring this up. You know what a catchphrase of the show once was, but we lost it in the weeds of the summer? Old people be lying. We're going to revise that or add something to it. Old people be aging. And by that, I mean this. That's what 43 used to look like. That's what 43 currently looks like. Which therefore means any of the old people that are like, you know what? The athletes back in my day could have played. No, they couldn't. The athletes back in your day looked like old chain smokers. The athletes now look like supermodels. So zip it with your, you know what? This sport was better 25 years ago. No, it wasn't. And you know what evidence I have?
Well, they used to smoke
photograph.
cigarettes in the locker room.
That's all I need. Yeah, exactly right. Lynn Dawson smoking on the sideline. Enough. So guess when the best athletes are? Right now. Guess who the best athletes ever are?
Thank you.
The ones playing right now. And you know what evidence I have? This picture of two 43-year-old men.
I love it.
I can get behind
Thank you.
that.
I'm done.
That's the picture to tweet, Brady, not the one where you were 108 years old.
Yeah.
We're moving on. Eagles will be looking for a new head coach next season after a very rocky end to this season. Doug Pederson had been there 5 years. He delivered Philly their only Super Bowl, but in the end, he failed to navigate what became a very sticky situation with his quarterback Carson Wentz, and he failed to present a good enough case for the future of the franchise to Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie. Speaking of which, here he is. Take a listen.
My first allegiance is what will be best for the Philadelphia Eagles and our fans for the next 3, 4, 5 years. It's not based on does someone deserve to hold their job or deserve to get fired. That's a different bar. Very few people probably after success deserve to lose their job. This is much more about the evaluation of whether the Eagles moving forward, our best option is to have a new coach. And that's really what it's about. It's not about did Doug deserve to be let go? No, he did not deserve to be let go. That's not where I'm coming from, and that's not the bar in the evaluation process.
So, Brandon, when this came across the feed yesterday, I was in the middle of my day, and it absolutely stopped me in my tracks. I did not see this one coming at all.
Yeah.
Did this surprise you that the Eagles let Doug Pederson go?
Well, there's been some rumblings the last couple days, but definitely surprised me. I mean, things turned so quickly. And Nick, you're a history buff, man. You know sports really well. Answer this question for me. Tell me how many Super Bowls the Dallas Cowboys, the Patriots, and let's throw the Steelers in there. How many Super Bowls do they have?
Cowboys have 5. Steelers have 6. The Patriots, it depends on if you count the ones they cheated for or not. If you count all of them, it's 6. If not, then they only have 1 or 2. But those are the numbers. Like that helps. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, but think about what you just said. Doug Pederson led this team to their first Super Bowl 3 years ago without Carson Wentz.
Yep.
That's what this came down to. Is it the coach or the quarterback? And they chose the quarterback, and I think they're wrong. I know how hard it is to make a Super Bowl, let alone win one. I played 13 years in the National Football League with some really good organizations. The Denver Broncos, who won a Super Bowl recently. You throw in the Chicago Bears. You can throw in the New York Giants. You can throw in the Seattle Seahawks. And I've never made the playoffs. So for you to have a coach there that led you to a Super Bowl and won it, I think this is a big mistake, Wiles. I think this is a big mistake, Nick. You know, this is a situation where they could have got this right, and they got it wrong.
I do agree they chose Wentz over Pederson. I think that's a massive mistake. Even if I would have fired Pederson, I maybe would have chosen neither one of them. But there are a few things here. I'm going to go with what I consider the most important first, Wilds, and that is we officially have the worst sports statue ever. And it's the one outside of the link that was, by the way, if you look at that Philly statue, it says donated by Bud Light. Bud Light's awesome. Nothing against Bud Light. But if you want to put a statue, don't have a sponsor. Build your own damn statue. But now you have a quarterback who played like 4 more games for your team and a coach who was unceremoniously fired a few years later. That's in front of your stadium forever. So great job, and it goes on the list of don't build statue to living people. It never goes well. Wait until people are gone to build them a statue. That's the first point. Second point is this. Doug Pederson did a bad job the last 3 years. Oh, Nick, but he made the play. Listen, the year after they won the Super Bowl, that team was 6-7 and then won their final 3 to sneak in. Last year, this team was 5-7 and then won 4 divisional games against the decrepit NFC East to sneak in. And this year, they might have beaten the least accomplished group of quarterbacks to get to their 4 wins. Their 4 wins, and 4 wins is terrible, but their 4 wins came against Daniel Jones, Mullins, Taysom Hill, and DiNucci. So, like, I think Taysom Hill is, like, the second best quarterback they've beaten, and he's not even a quarterback. So, like you can't have 3 years of being bad at your job and keep your job, no matter how good you were early in your tenure. But, Wilds, if they're doing this so they can keep Wentz, it's a mistake. If you're doing this because you want to turn the page from everybody, fine. But I'm not going to cry tears for Doug Pederson about this one. I'm not.
Okay, this feels like it was coming ever since the tie game, when it's like, hey, why are you playing for a tie, buddy? It's about wins and losses. You know, didn't you ever hear Herm Edwards says it's not, you played tie the game, and then Doug Pederson the next day is like, you know what? Went back and looked at it. Yeah, I should have taken a shot down the field rather than punt, my bad, guys. And then later on, he had that, like, a few weeks later, he was like, hey, why is Carson regressing? He's like, progressing? No, he's not. Like, no, regressing. He's like, oh, oops, sorry. That was all odd. And then the Sudfeld thing was a disaster. And Brandon, we always talk about, like, oh, he lost the locker room. Like, and you're like, wow, I lost the locker room. What happened? Is there a little bit of turmoil? Is there just a little bit of, pockets? So you talk about pockets of guys. Like, nope, 2 defensive players had to be held back from Pederson. Like, not a good sign. Not a good sign if I'm Jeffrey Lurie. Like, hey, here's a report here. Players trying to fight you. That doesn't seem great. So, Brandon, if you're a coach and you're looking at all these opportunities, you're looking at a team that has the second worst cap situation in the entire NFL. Feels like you're married to Carson Wentz, even if you're Eric Bieniemy. Like, you know what? I really like Jalen Hurts. Are you going to have the power to make that decision when they just got rid of Pederson? Yeah, and you don't know who's going to be the quarterback, and I don't know if you're the coach, you get to decide. And then the whole Lurie quote about, like, well, you don't deserve to be fired, but I fired you anyway. Like, what are you, downsizing? You're still going to have a coach. It's just an odd quote overall.
Well, I'll say this.
So I guess the question to you, Brandon, is
I'll say this.
Is this a job a coach wants?
Well, I'll say this. I'll answer one question. I'll give a statement, then I'll throw it to Nick, our resident GM. So first, you got to look at this. The common denominator in this situation is Carson Wentz. I can't go past last year, but last year, when that team played well, Carson Wentz played well. When that team played bad, Carson Wentz played bad. One of the things that we're not talking about is who this guy is. What I'm hearing is that this guy in that locker room, he's not relatable. He's kind of standoffish. When he's on the field, he throws a bad ball or he make a mistake. It's everybody else's fault outside of his tight end. So this is a guy that is the common denominator in this team winning and losing when he's out there. So, Nick, I'll throw that question to you as far as if this is a good coaching vacancy or not, because I know you are a resident, GM.
Yeah. It's not a good vacancy. We can talk more about it later. There's 7 openings. Only Detroit is worse. Why is Detroit worse? Because it's Detroit. Nothing against the city, but the franchise, they never win. They don't know what they're doing. But, Philly, you're in a terrible cap situation. You don't have a quarterback, and there's going to be massive scrutiny. So, no, I think of all the openings, this is the second least attractive, Jenna. I think you're in a really rough spot. A really rough spot.
I agree. You chose Carson Wentz over Doug Pederson. You don't even know if Carson Wentz is your guy. You still have more problems. Take a break. Coming up, why is Nick rooting against Baker? First time. That's next. First things first.
No, Baker can succeed.